What I'm going to talk about in this video today is how to increase your job security with the economy and the uncertainty in the marketplace. Basically what I did is I broke down for myself, looking at the hundreds of different people that I've employed. What made certain people irreplaceable? Rewind back to 2017. Beth was in our finance department. She was an absolute killer. Like, everyone loved Beth. Beth was amazing. She had great communication skills. She always worked the extra hours. Like, Beth was somebody who I never wanted to lose. Despite never wanting to lose Beth, Beth always came to me, and every time we talked, and she just said, Layla, I'm just worried about losing my job. So one day I sat down with her and I had a one-on-one and I said, Beth, I don't understand why you're so scared about losing your job. And I explained to her that there's two aspects to job security. There's the market conditions, and then there's your personal condition that you create within your job. And I explained to her why both of these conditions were in her favor. The market was growing, the business was doing great, and she was doing phenomenal at her job and going above and beyond. Job security is the probability that someone will keep their job. I can never be 100% certain in saying somebody's got a job here forever, and they can never be 100% certain in saying, I'll work here forever, because people just don't know and unexpected things happen. But we want to figure out how to increase that probability. The first piece to it is understanding the outside factors, which are the economic, market, and business conditions that affect your job. So in times of economic expansion, when the economy is growing and is healthy, ultimately, all jobs are more secure because there's more demand and people have more of a need for workers. Recession, depressions, etc., jobs are less secure because there's less need for workers, there's less money in the marketplace. Are you in a bear market or a bull market? You have to break that down. The second piece is the sub-market, so the market conditions themselves. Let's look at Gym Launch, for example, a company that I sold majority of about a year ago. And so if you look at the boutique gym industry, when we started Gym Launch, the market was actually at its peak. And so a lot of people credit me and Alex to being so smart for having this business, but what they don't understand is that we got in right when it was on this huge expansion, and it actually peaked in about 2018, and then it's continued to decline a little bit year after year from there. When you're in a market that's absolutely expanding like that, things that are transitioning from in-person, brick and mortar to online services, those then have more secure jobs because there's more market opportunity, and therefore the businesses actually don't even have to be as good at business to make a killing. The last piece is the business conditions. I am talking about profitability of a business. So a business that has very low profit margins, let's take a grocery store, for example, which has usually 2 to 5% profit margins. If there's a bad week, a bad month, a bad season, you're going to have low job security because they can't handle the volatility because they have such slim margin. Now, here's the thing, is that you can't control any of these things, but you can choose where you work. And so if you're looking for a job, I would take into my consideration, what's the economy look like? How's it gonna affect this kind of business? What's the market look like? Is it growing or stagnating? You can just literally Google market growth of blank and you will find out. And then lastly is, what are the business conditions? You can ask, what's the profit margins of the business before you enter? If I were you and I was looking for a job in the first place, I'm gonna look at is those things and make sure I put myself in a place where the business is resilient against the economy, it's a growing market, and the business is profitable so it can withstand bad months. Let's talk about what you can control. What makes certain people, what I want to say is irreplaceable, very hard to replace, is that they typically have a unique value proposition. And just like a business has a unique value proposition, something that makes it 20% different than its competitors, people have that as well. A unique value proposition is what is your unique skill stack that is going to make you stand out in terms of the other people that could fill your role. Let me give you an example. A creative person who is also organized, a salesperson who is detail-oriented, a software engineer who has high EQ, a finance manager who understands marketing. Those are all basically walking contradictions. And that is what makes someone irreplaceable in a job, is when you can be a walking contradiction. I have someone in finance, but I interviewed about 30 different people for that position. None of them had any marketing or sales expertise at all. And what happened was that that person, the reason I selected her and brought her on the team is because she was actually not just really fantastic at finance, but she was a leader and she was fantastic at marketing and sales and understood those aspects of the business and respected them. The second piece that's going to make you irreplaceable or hard to replace for a business is your personal leverage contribution to the business. Just as people measure the lifetime value or the ROI of a customer, employers measure the ROI or the lifetime value of employees. And so what people want to look for is people who have a very high ROI. They're paying them a certain salary and they're getting this much revenue in the business out of that person. Or maybe they're saving this much revenue of the business from that person. So oftentimes, where that's going to come from is going to come from your experience, your education, or your effort. That's going to be what's going to create your leverage. Because if somebody comes in and they've already acquired 10 years of experience somewhere else, then I'm basically buying that experience. I don't need them to incur that experience within the job. I don't need to spend my time training them. They come batteries included with that. The same goes for education. If I don't have to educate someone for 6 months, say about my market opportunity or about my industry, then when they come in, they've saved me 6 months. And the last one comes through effort, which is if they make a high effort and they're doing more beyond the job description, then I'm getting more than what I paid for. So it's basically, how are you a deal to your employer is what you really need to ask yourself. When I hire somebody who has a lot of experience in education, what I'm buying is my time. What I'm saying, basically by hiring that person, is I don't have the time to do this, so I'm going to buy that time by getting this person in my organization. I can't take the 3 or 4 years to learn this thing. I need to go buy it by bringing this person in. We actually had a portfolio company who, that founder, he was very dead set on not being the operator for his business, and he honestly didn't know how to be. He wasn't an easy person to work for. He really only understood marketing and literally not sales, not product, not fulfillment, nothing else. And he had a very vigorous work schedule. The moment that we found that person who had actually also worked in a similar market, in a similar business, and had the exact personality and skills that he was looking for, he was like, Layla, I would do anything to keep this person. He fired somebody else, he moved people around, he gave him a stipend to move to be closer to him, he did everything. The last piece that you want to think through in terms of how to get more job security is you have to consider how much of the glue to the organization you are. And it's not just the ROI they bring to my organization. When I think of people that are glue, I think of people that have influence. They do that by having more touch with departments outside of their own. How much involvement do you have across different functions of the organization? How often are you uniting other departments and people towards a common goal to drive the business forward? So it's really not how do I create leverage for myself, but can you create group leverage within the organization? So you're not just getting an ROI on yourself when you come into this organization, but you're getting an ROI on all the people that you can influence because you can unite people towards a common goal. People who pull teams together and make them greater than the sum of their parts. It's somebody that I would like to call like a multiplier. They can not just get more out of themselves through education, experience, and effort, but they can get more out of other people. Those are people that you never want to lose. In my last business, I had an operator, and when she was not around, I would notice the difference in the organization because things were disjointed, things didn't go as well, people weren't as happy, and it was like things just didn't run as smoothly. And so anytime she took vacation, I was like, you need to come back immediately, because she was one of those people that when she was there, everyone was better. In terms of how you can create your own job security, you want to make sure that when you're selecting a job, look for a job that is going to do well in the economy, it has good market conditions, and it has good business conditions. You have to think about your unique value proposition. What is an interesting skill set that you can bring to the marketplace? If you're a creative person, figure out how to be organized, figure out how to lead people. Like that's one of the hardest things for that department. If you're in finance, figure out how to understand sales and marketing so you can not constantly be contradicting them. If you're in sales, figure out how to be detail and tech oriented so you don't bottleneck the rest of the team by not being able to use a CRM. In terms of your personal contribution, you can focus through education, experience, effort. And then lastly is thinking, how do I create more of the glue in the organization? How do I get more out of other people, not just myself? You can influence your job security so that hopefully you can go to sleep at night not worrying about what's gonna happen the next day.